So what does count as an entry-level piece? Hello, welcome back to Classics with a Quirk, where we talk about contemporary and luxury designer items and brands with a touch of silliness. This is the kind of content you find interesting. Please do like this video and subscribe for more of it. Thank you. The Louis Vuitton price increase of February 2022 had the luxury community in general all abuzz and in some cases horrified by how much certain items went up in price, and in general the new prices of a lot of items that were considered entry level. In light of this, I wanted to open up a discussion on what entry level pieces are and what counts now, and even if there are any entry level pieces left in certain luxury brands. Now, I do have some notes because I wanted to hit several points in this video, so I might be occasionally looking down at them. But for the purposes of this video, I wanted to define entry-level items as pieces that encompass several components. First of all, they're at reasonable price points for a luxury piece. Second of all, they give you a taste of the brand, a way to experience the brand, and often the craftsmanship, the quality, the type of leather or canvas. 3, it sort of builds your constitution as you work your way up to buying more expensive pieces. You know, you buy an entry-level piece for $200 or $300, and that kind of lets you work your way up to paying $2,000 or $3,000 or even more. And finally, entry-level pieces are usually workhorse items. They're items that are not super expensive, that give you a taste of the brand, but that you can use very often, like usually even every day, that make them a good value for money, especially for a luxury lover who might have a more modest amount of play money. But the luxury space has really changed in the last couple of years, and entry-level items have really shot up in price, especially for certain very popular brands. Entry-level SLGs are a lot more expensive than they used to be, and it kind of seems like entry-level bags are a thing of the past. If we take Louis Vuitton, for instance, the Louis Vuitton Alma BB and the Louis Vuitton Neverfull were often considered excellent starter bags, really good, useful bags that you could use for a variety of occasions, and you could get them for under $1,500 and at one point well under $1,000, which is kind of unheard of now when you think about it. Now, for the same canvas Alma BB, you're paying over $1,800, and for the Neverfull, $2,000 plus, and that's also, even if you can find them in stock, they're a lot harder to get now. Moving away from Louis Vuitton into Chanel, for instance, the Chanel Walk was pretty much considered the entry-level piece for quite a long time, and I think still is for the most part. This Chanel Walk was $2,100 in 2017 and then went up to $2,500 in 2018. Reasonable, especially for Chanel, and pretty good for something that a lot of people do consider and use as an actual bag. There's some debate over whether or not the wallet on chain can be considered a bag versus an SLG, but plenty of people, myself included, use it as an actual bag. This same bag, or SLG rather, then went up to $2,650 and then went up to $2,950 in the latest price increase in which it was affected. And now that it's almost $3,000 and in all likelihood probably going to be going up soon to even more than that, is this still considered an entry-level piece at being basically $3,000 plus after tax? And if you're talking about a Chanel bag, the least expensive Chanel bag that you can get, like the least expensive classic bag, is the Chanel Mini Square that currently retails for $4,200 plus tax. The true entry-level Chanel items now are essentially the card holders on chain, which are just as expensive, if not more expensive, than the Chanel Walk used to be. They used to be, you could get a micro bag for under $2,000. It used to be that way. Now you're paying over $2,000 for what is essentially a card holder with a Chanel chain on it. And I don't know if that can be considered an entry-level bag in terms of usability, because it is potentially an entry-level item in terms of price, considering it's Chanel, but is it really an entry-level bag in terms of being able to be used and a really actual good taste of the brand and something that you can utilize? The wallet on chain you can utilize. Again, you can use this as a bag, but you can't use a micro bag. Some people notwithstanding, I'm looking at you, Train Girl Megan, generally you can't use a micro bag as a bag because even if it does have TBE, tiny bag energy, you can't fit anything in it. You can fit maybe some cards, maybe a key, maybe a lipstick, but if you need anything more than that, you're not going to fit that into a micro bag. It's not going to be a workhorse in the same way an actual bag like a mini square will be or would be, or an Alma BB would be. I'd love to hear your opinion on whether or not we can even consider Chanel as a brand that has entry-level pieces now. I mean, again, there are the card holders and the wallets, and there is the wallet on chain, and some people would definitely say that the wallet on chain for $3,000 is still a pretty good price. And I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that for something that you can use as a bag if you're able to get yourself that minimal in terms of your items. I do think that it's a good taste of Chanel, and it is a way to get the boutique experience and get a Chanel piece and really be able to utilize something that could be a workhorse for the low reasonable price of $3,000, but again, for Chanel. I do also want to mention that Chanel's seasonal bags used to be very good options as entry-level Chanel pieces because you could get a fairly classic looking Chanel bag for much less than you could get a actual classic Chanel bag. The Coco handle is probably the most famous example of this, where the Coco handle used to be considered a seasonal bag and you get it for well under $4,000, so less than a Chanel mini. It's now in the $5,000 range, so much less attainable and no longer what I would consider an entry-level bag. Of course, talking about well-loved entry-level pieces, we cannot forget the Louis Vuitton pochette accessoire and mini pochette. These pieces used to be, and still I think are, talked up by luxury lovers everywhere. The pochette accessoire, when it was still considered an SLG by Louis Vuitton, could easily be converted into a bag if you replaced the strap, and Louis Vuitton now, of course, does consider it a bag and sells it as a bag. The mini pochette could be converted into a mini bag, and people talked about how great they were, how much they could fit, what a great value for money they were, how useful they were as items, a great entry-level piece. But that was when they cost much less. There's a huge difference between talking up a pochette accessoire that is a great value for money when it's under $700 and talking up a pochette accessoire that's supposedly a great value for money when it's almost $1,300. Those are very different things. For instance, in December of 2020, less than a year and a half ago, you could buy the pochette accessoire for $630. Now, the mini pochette is $745, and as I said, the pochette accessoire is almost $1,300. That's bonkers, considering that also in December of 2020, you could get a Neverfull for $1,500. Now, it would be doing a disservice to say that brands like Louis Vuitton and Chanel are the end-all and be-all, because they're not. You can get some beautiful quality pieces from brands like Saint Laurent, Salvatore Ferragamo, and even Gucci for much more reasonable, affordable prices, depending on what you're getting. Some people would argue, though, that those brands don't hold value nearly as well, and that's a legitimate concern. Some people do buy luxury with investment or resale value in mind, and while I don't completely agree with that for a variety of reasons, I made a video about it, I'll link it to you. That's still true that these brands like Saint Laurent, like Salvatore Ferragamo, do not hold value. You're not going to be able to resell it and regain the money back that you paid. And it's also true that sometimes you don't want the YSL logo, you want the Chanel double CCs. That's the brand you want to buy into, and that's totally valid. Everybody has different reasons for wanting to buy into a specific brand, and it's true that Chanel has a very specific look and heritage that some people just want, same with Louis Vuitton. I also want to make sure that I mention the fact that it is easy for somebody who already owns the pieces to say that it's not worth it to buy them at the new prices. It's so much easier when you already own the mini pochette to say, oh, this isn't worth $745 to me, but I own it already. For somebody who doesn't own the mini pochette and they want to own the mini pochette, $745 might not be what they want to spend on it, but if they want the mini pochette, they're going to have to. And the thing is, even before Louis Vuitton raised the price to $745 new in boutique, we know that people pay these exorbitant prices for these pieces because we see it on the resale market all the time. Resellers price these items for profit and sell these items for profit, which just proves Louis Vuitton's point that of course people are going to buy the item for $745. Let's list it as $745. And then of course the people who want the item have no choice but to spend that money, especially if they want it brand new from Louis Vuitton. So they do, which further shows Louis Vuitton that, oh yeah, our pricing is perfectly fine and we're gonna continue to price things this way because people will pay them. As long as people are buying these items, it doesn't matter how much they cost because they're still going to be sold. So, the pricing almost doesn't matter. The points are all made up. As I said, I couldn't imagine paying over $700 for the mini pochette, but people do. The resale market shows us that people do. And that's kind of the reality for luxury lovers who are just getting into luxury now. They have to deal and live with the prices as they are now. If you want to buy a mini pochette new in boutique for whatever the reason is, you have to pay the current asking price for it, especially because on the resale market, they're being marked up for profit. So you really don't have any other choice. And of course, it's cyclical. Every time somebody pays the new price, it just proves to the brands that clients will continue to accept the price increases. So it's just going to be an endless cycle of continuing to increase prices. People will continue to buy. And I'm not going to say we should all just stop buying luxury and boycott it until the prices go down, because first of all, that's silly, and second of all, it's unrealistic. That's not going to happen. People want these things. They're going to pay for these things. The prices are going to continue to go up, and there are a lot of reasons that prices increase, and it's true that inflation is one of those reasons. Paying workers a reasonable living wage is one of those reasons. Cost of material is one of those reasons, and profit margin is one of those reasons. It's all a melting pot of reasons as to why prices increase. But in regards to the topic of this video, in terms of entry-level pieces, I just want to ask you too. This is $745. This mini pochette is almost $750. Do you still consider the mini pochette an entry-level piece? Not even is it worth paying for, but do you consider the mini pochette an entry-level piece in that it's still reasonably priced? It's still a good taste of the brand, it's still a workhorse item, and it still helps build your constitution to paying more money. I will say that it's definitely a build your constitution item, because if you're willing to pay $750 for this, you're probably also willing to pay $2,000 for a Neverfull, but it's different for different people, and again, I'd love to hear your opinion. I'd especially love to hear the voices of people who aren't already buyers of Louis Vuitton. Like maybe you're just getting into luxury, you're just starting to save up for your big Louis Vuitton purchase. I'd love to hear your opinions too. As I said, it's really easy for people who have been buying Louis Vuitton and already have collections to say, forget it, I'm not paying any of these prices anymore, I'm happy with what I have. But for someone who really wants a Neverfull to be their starter luxury piece, again, they have to pay the $2,000. How do you feel about that? Do you still consider the Neverfull an entry-level item? Or is it no longer an entry-level piece, it's just a piece. It's not entry level anymore. I don't consider it that. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts. In terms of my personal perspective in regards to, say, the mini pochette, I already did state that I don't think that I could pay $745 for this. And partially that's because I can't help but think of all the other things that $745 could buy me if I was still interested in using that money for a luxury item. And obviously I'm overlooking the fact that $745 is a large sum of money, and there are plenty of practical applications for it. We're talking about just luxury at this point because this is a luxury channel and that's the topic of this video. But instead of buying this for $745 and utilizing that same amount of money for something else in the luxury world, I could buy, for instance, this YSL wristlet for $745. They come in a variety of colors. They're beautiful, in my opinion. They fit just as much as the mini pochette, and they also can be converted, kind of like the mini pochette, into a bag. Like if you add a chain to them, you can use them as a walk, and they're pretty much the same size as a YSL walk, again, for under $750. If I still wanted something from Louis Vuitton that functioned in the same manner as a mini pochette, I could go for the Kirigami pochette set, which you get 3 pouches for approximately the same amount of money. They are still beautiful Louis Vuitton pieces, and the real difference is that they don't come with chains. Like, you're paying a lot of money for the chain on this thing, but you still can get kits to convert the mini pochettes into pieces that have chains if you want to. You don't have to, but it's an option. Or if we want to think a little bigger, for a few $100s more, I could get this entire Salvatore Ferragamo tote. It's an entire luxury bag that's very similar to the Neverfull, and it's also from a very well-established, reputable, quality luxury house with a rich heritage for almost the same price as a mini pochette. I'm going to link the items that I mentioned down below just in case you're interested in them, and I'm also going to stop the this or that game for now, but let me know if you'd be interested in like an entire video dedicated to like this or that, where I could show you maybe other options from other brands or other pieces that are comparable to some more well-known items of like Chanel and Louis Vuitton pieces that we already all know and love. As usual, the purpose of these Let's Chat videos is to foster discussion, so I really would love to hear you add your voice in the comment section down below. All I ask is, of course, for you to be kind to everybody else participating in the discussion, but I really would love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that there are still entry-level pieces? And if there are, I'd love for you to name some. Or do you think that entry-level items are kind of a thing of the past? In any case, I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, please do give it a like. It super duper helps the algorithm, and subscribe for more content that helps the algorithm even more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello. No, not over there.